blogging my journey to Chicago. I kind of wish I had started this video before I started feeling positive and uplifted and restored faith about going, just so that you guys can know that sometimes faith doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it looks like terrified fear. And so I am currently pulled over because, well, I pulled myself over. I didn't get pulled over, but I'm currently pulled over because I'm about to do a Zoom call because I work for Calvin the New Trader, and that's all my stuff in the back. I brought everything I need. Emphasis on everything I need because I've been listening to Kirk Franklin, Bless Me, and like the latter part of the song, he goes, we got everything we need. And that is what has been hitting for me lately. So this is a big faith move. This is like probably it's maybe the second time I'm doing something. This is the biggest faith move. This isn't the first time I made a significant like step in faith without knowing what the outcome was going to be. But this feels bigger than I've ever done before. I had $36 to my name this morning. Well, if you want to count the $7.49 that's left on my credit card. And I am driving from Baltimore, Maryland to Chicago. And everything about the situation is like, Diamond, this does not make sense. And some might even say this isn't wise. Like, what are you going to do? I just kept feeling, I've talked with my mentors, I've talked with friends, like God-fearing, believing friends, but also friends who are reasonable. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but I just keep feeling like I need to be in that room. And I had to repent as well because I've been apologetic to God because I've asked for so many signs. And just because now I have signs of like, prove it to me, it's signs of God. This is what I realized I literally realized this like 2-3 hours ago when I first started driving. I had a whole moment with the Lord. I have PTSD from past perceived disappointment with God. There was a situation in my past, too, in particular, that I felt like God let me down. I felt like he didn't protect me. I felt like when I was asking him to make sure I didn't mess up, he allowed me to mess up. And I didn't realize it until this morning that I had started allowing that narrative to become a part of my identity. And talking with my friend is when I realized this, because I was talking with her last night because I was still on the fence, and she's like, a couple months ago you said that you feel like God was giving you confirmation, and like, what is going on? Like, the closer we get to this day, you are like switching back and forth. And I was telling her, I was like, she was like trying to speak life into me and was saying, girls, just like have faith and trust. Like the very things that you be telling me, you need to take your own words. She said, you always telling me that God will redirect you and he won't let you fail and he won't let you mess up. And if you're going the wrong way, he'll redirect you. You need to take that own medicine. You need to believe what you're saying. And my response to her was, yeah, I hear all that, but I felt as though God had let me fall before. God had let me mess up. God had let me hit the wall in a way that still hurts. And so we had that conversation, and I realized like, oh, every single time I have to make a decision, especially if it's a decision I feel like is weighty, like has some weight to it, I typically pull back up, but will he? And I say it jokingly, but they say that there is truth in every joke. And it dawned on me like, Diamond, you haven't been saying that as a joke. Like on the surface level, you've been saying it as a joke, but deep down inside, you believe it. Like you do not trust God. You are holding resentment. And as I'm listening to the sermon that she sent me this morning, because I texted her, I was like, I've never been so terrified in my life that I'm making the wrong decision. I've never been so terrified. I would cry right now, but I got to do this meeting, so I can't, like, I'm checking the tears. I'm like, oh, we gonna deal with that later. But I was like, because it's just, it feels so overwhelming. But then there's this weird feeling, this small weird feeling that's like, let's go. Like, it'll be okay. But this bigger voice is like, is it going to be okay? And I'm planning to, like, sleep in my car, which is why I have so much stuff in my car. I have a whole container for a suitcase. I have a bunch of food. Thank God for my parents. Thank God for the provisions that they make possible for me. My mom, as I'm leaving, I was telling my friend there was 3 signs I asked God for. Because I figured if, what's his name, could ask God to allow dew to fall, but not on the wool. And then the next morning, let it fall on the wool, but not on the grass. I said, well, Lord, surely you can entertain my questions right here. And so, as of last night, 2 out of the 3 things that I asked God for, so that I would move on this decision to come here, to come to Chicago, 2 out of 3 happened. And I talked to my dad about it, and he was like, 2 out of 3 ain't enough for you. And I was like, it's not that it's not enough, but a part of me, that anxiety, that I don't want to make no more mistakes, part of me is saying, oh, well, if this blows up in your face, it's because you asked God for 3. He only gave you 2, and he was waiting to see if you were going to be obedient to wait for the 3rd one. Or if you move, like the was being like really specific. And I was just like, I don't know, like, maybe I am I don't know, right? And I'm just like, God, like, please search my heart. You know, I am not trying to be nitpicky. I cannot make no more mistakes in my life. I feel like I cannot waste any more time. And I know I got to deal with that in therapy another time. It's not right now. But I say all this to say that, you know, sometimes you're not going to feel calm when you're trying to have faith. You're not going to feel hopeful. You're not going to always feel joyful. But you have to make the decision to choose hope. You have to make the decision that I'm going to move on this, and I refuse to see it as a failure if it doesn't go my preferred way. I'm going to see it as a lesson learned. And if you know, it goes my way, yay, hallelujah, we grew in faith, and we get to see that the more we take these big faith acts, the more the blessings I'm praying for will happen. So that is what I'm believing for. That is what I'm praying for. That is what I am just moving on faith in. And I encourage you to do the same. So, you know, continue to we're going to keep it moving. We'll see what I'll share next. So, bye. I gotta do the session. Just got one to the Ohio Turnpike. Crossing center lines. Oh, God, what are you about to do? Or what are you about to use me to do? What impact am I going to have in this city? And what impact are you going to use the city to have in my life? I'm trusting you, God. And I'm so sorry for the times when I haven't. I'm so sorry for the times when I've been disrespectful and accusing you of things that you are not guilty of. Help me to heal, God. Help correct my perspective, Lord. Open my eyes in the name of Jesus to the truth. I rebuke every lie that the enemy has sold me. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. God said go, let's go. God said go, let's go. It is so beautiful out here, though. It is so, like, I love scenery. And that's what I used to, like, that's one of the things that I missed when I was younger. Traveling with my family when we go on road trips somewhere, or going down to the beach. I love just looking at the scenery, just seeing something different from Baltimore. Like, beam or die. However, I'm tired of seeing the same thing all the time. I'm thinking about what Calvin was talking about. He rented out this like mansion for him and his family, and they stayed in there just to have a different view and scenery, and what it did for him, like doing that. Excuse me. And he talked about like how it opened his eyes, but also made him more motivated and ambitious. And literally just seeing something different from what I've been seeing in Baltimore. Like, yes, Baltimore, Maryland has its beautiful places. Baltimore does have its beautiful places, but it ain't many, baby. It ain't many. So, and maybe it's because I've lived there my whole life. I no longer see as much of the beauty, but I'm so hungry and thirsty for something else, something different, something fresh. And I've always felt that way. I've always wanted to help Baltimore, but I've always felt like I didn't want to stay in Baltimore. I've always wanted to change the narrative about Baltimore. And this was even before The Wire. I remember when I first started college, my first year of college, my first like little conference that I went to, not conference, it was like the welcoming day. One of the first things someone says to me is, "Oh, you're from Baltimore? You don't sound..." First, they question if I'm really from Baltimore because I don't sound like it. And then the next thing they do is, "Oh, like The Wire?" And I'm like, no, it's not like The Wire. I mean, but that ain't the only association. Like, don't nobody want to shout out Baltimore crabs? Like, I don't care where you from. I feel like Baltimore, baby, we have the best steamed crabs. I don't know what you're talking about over there and these other. We want to see what Chicago talking about. Chicago, what y'all got for me up here? Y'all got some good seafood? I don't know. We want to see. Alright. But, alright, that's enough. Until next time. Bye. Made my first little pit stop to stretch and recalibrate. Did a couple of squats, some rolling of the shoulders, and now I am gotta go back to the car and get back to the car, you know, being bold, baptized, and blessed. You know, you see it, trust it, believe it. Amen, amen. Doing a little bit of a walk. Heart of Ohio. Let's take a picture. As I've been driving, something I've been thinking about is the relationship between expectations and faith. Because when you're having faith for something, when God gives you a promise, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it's a clear-ish picture. It's not a clear detail by detail, every single nitty-gritty aspect of it. But you get an idea it's not completely clear. And this is what our brains tend to do with when you see something. So when you are looking at something that isn't completely clear, your brain will try to fill in the missing parts. It's like when we would do assessments when I was in grad school, we would give a half-formed picture of something. And it was so fascinating seeing how a person would say, like, oh, I thought it said this, or I thought it showed this. And it's like, it actually isn't a picture of anything, but your brain is trying to make sense of the image or the words. And so it fills in the gaps automatically until you pause, like really train yourself to slow down, pause, and examine it. You're like, oh, it really isn't anything. That's kind of how faith is. Because when you're believing for something and you like don't have the full image, your desires, if you're not keeping those checked with God and, bringing those back to God, making sure you're staying in alignment, your desires will fill in gaps. And if you aren't careful, you will end up with expectations for that promise from God that are not completely accurate or are not the full thing. And so then when the promise is fulfilled and it don't look the way that you expected, or it didn't happen, that's a big one, it didn't happen the way that you thought it was going to happen, you're looking like, what? Kind of like cross-eyed. But I think that's where trust then steps in. It's trusting God's plan and his ways more than your plan and your ways of what you filled into those gaps of the promise that you're believing for and what you're having faith for. And that's something I've been thinking about on this trip is I've been asking God, like, God, purify my expectations, adjust and shape my expectations to match what you are either wanting me to do in this space and at this conference or in this city, what you want me to receive, so that my expectations are even aligned with what you are planning or what you want me to catch, so that I don't walk past the open door, or so that I don't miss the opportunity to pray for somebody that you want me to pray for, or speak healing over somebody that you want me to speak healing for, or receive a blessing that you have for me because it wasn't in the way that I expected. So I've been asking God, align my expectations. And I've been checking myself, like, search my heart, God. Expose to me any part of my heart that is not in a full alignment with you, or has jumped the gun, so to speak, ahead of where you are in this process. Because, child, this is a process. This drive has been a process, and it has been so oddly, like very oddly peaceful. I've never ever in my life been on such a peaceful, smooth sailing road trip ever in my life. And y'all know, if you've been following me in my like story and journey for a while, you know that I used to be a commuter. I was a commuter for like 5 years, had a break, and then 3 years before that. So I've been a commuter almost my whole adult life after high school. So, and then also I used to take road trips. Everyone talks about when you hit traffic. It's not a matter of if, it's always been a question of when you hit traffic and being strategic about navigating that. I left at 8 in the morning Eastern Standard Time in Maryland, and I stopped 3 times, once for gas, once for a meeting, which you guys saw earlier. The second was for gas, and the third one was for gas to top it off. And then also just, I was going to rest, but then I got some fresh air, and I was like, actually, I can knock out these last 3 hours. Let me go ahead and, knock it out. And so it's just been such a crazy, oddly, but really comfortably peaceful drive. There hasn't been no type of craziness. I'm so grateful for that. But I also am seeing it as God's peace. And I think sometimes we look for God's peace, like to just fill us, and we just are peaceful. and all anxiety goes away. But sometimes it's for you to take observation of what's happening around you and how the peace has manifested itself around you. And then as you take that in, you then can feel the peace. Because this has been such a peaceful and lovely, honestly, like a lovely and enjoyable drive. It doesn't feel like I've been driving for 10 hours. My back reminds me, like just a little bit. It will remind me every couple hours. It's like, okay, let's get a little stretch, a little shimmy. You know, work the muscles out. But it hasn't been like bothersome. It's just been like, oh, I just need stretch. And it hasn't felt, it's almost like in the Bible when trying to think of his name. I want to say Joseph, but I don't think it was Joseph. I forgot. Was it Joseph and Rebecca? I think it. Don't judge me, y'all. But I think it was Joseph. Was it Joseph? Jeez Louise. I can't remember. But somebody was working for Rebecca's hand in marriage. I think it was Rebecca. And he said if, like, after his father-in-law tricked him into working another 7 years, after he had already served the first 7 years, he said it felt as but a day because of his love for her. And I feel like if I wasn't in my right state of mind, if I didn't have that moment with God in that first hour of my drive, in that epiphany, that revelation, that breakthrough, that healing moment, had I not had that, this drive probably would have been a lot harder for me. My perspective would have been focusing on a lot more negativity and a lot more restlessness and anxiety, and it just wouldn't have been pleasant. I probably would have even aborted the mission. But I'm grateful for having that moment early on, because it set the tone and the stage and my mindset moving forward. So I say all that to say, if you've been looking for peace, if you've been praying for peace and you don't feel it in you, sometimes you really have to stop, sit down, slow down, and take observation of the peace that's happening around you. Like, maybe your kids are normally rambunctious and fussing and yelling and fighting, and then when you slow down, you stop washing the dishes, you stop doing all the chores, you realize it's quiet in this house right now. And sometimes what happens is we automatically, or I know parents will automatically think, well, if it's quiet, they're doing something. What if God has just given you a moment of peace, but you were anticipating and expecting some type of foolishness to be happening with your kids? You couldn't even experience, embrace, and take in that moment of peace. And I don't think we realize, I think we underestimate how much our expectations can influence our reality. And so I've set my expectations on, I've already gotten the best gift that I could have gotten out of this trip. Like, initially I had a lot of anxiety about expectations. Like, what is God going to do? Why is he calling me in Chicago? Like, all these questions. I'm like, just the fact that I was able to address a core issue within my heart within that first hour of my drive, that was perfect. Because I'm constantly telling God, you know, I will get on his nerves, I want you to stay close to me. I want you to keep me close to you. Do not ever let me stray again. Do not ever let me go see for myself. I don't want to see for myself. I release my free will. Lord, take it. I don't deserve it. I don't need it. I don't even want my free will. Is for you to take my free will, Lord. That is what I have prayed. I have prayed that to God, because I trust. I desire him totally, and I trust that even when my flesh doesn't want to trust him, my spirit, if that makes sense, if you can relate to that. Sometimes my spirit is trusting him, but my flesh is like giving me those intrusive thoughts of, no, what about this? And give me anxiety and all these things. But I just slow down. I'm like, no. Since that first hour, I've been like, nah, we only about big faith over here. We only about big belief over here. We're only about big peace over here. And if he doesn't do anything else, I am satisfied. I am full. And at the same time, I'm so open to whatever else you want to do. And my expectations, I'm not filling in the gaps of just what I think should happen or what I feel should happen or what I want to happen. It's God, what do you want to happen? And I'm going to walk and act and move and speak with the fruits of the Spirit and be a light to other people. Everyone I encounter, I'm going to show God's light. And I got this from Steve Harvey. I was reading his book, Jump. And he doesn't say it quite like this, but I've paraphrased it into a motto that I now say every morning. Every time I wake up, I say, I am waking up today to do what I do best. I know for me that what I do best is encouraging people, speaking life into people, ministering to people through coaching and therapy. I know that that's what I do best. And so using my words and my insights to extend wisdom, to extend hope, to extend belief into people who have given up on life and given up on their future, that is what I do best. That is what other people have affirmed me in ever since I was younger. It was what people always was asking me advice for when I was younger. And even as I got older, it's the thing I feel most passionate about. It's the thing that I feel most fulfilled when I do. So I said, that's what I'm going to wake up every single day and do. So I'll leave you guys with that. I have an hour and like a half left on this drive. So it's crazy. I still can't believe I'm doing this. But faith moves. I be like, faith helps. So right now it's faith moves. So just move in faith. I hope that this encourages somebody who is struggling to make a decision to move in faith. Like, just do it and really just challenge yourself. Bring your flesh and your fleshly thoughts. And I'm not talking about like, oh, the fleshly thoughts as in your sexual desires and all that. No, when I say fleshly thoughts, we forget that also includes the anxiety, the doubt, the self-criticism, the low self-esteem. Bring all that into subjection as well and say, no, we will trust the Lord. No, we will have faith. No, there is something here for me, or there is something for me to give in this situation or in this opportunity. And you just bank on that, and you move when He moves. When God moves, you move just like that. Okay. Love you guys. Until next time. Mwah. I'm in Chicago. I made it. It got really rough. The last 20 minutes of my drive because it was just heavy rain, fog, and I just could not see where I was going. And I was going over a bridge, and I hate bridges. So that was that. I finally got settled at the place. My plan originally, as you can see, I have curtains up. Can't see it right now. I'll do another video when I wake up. But my plan was to sleep in the lot. I had looked up the lot of the event prior to coming down here because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get a hotel, and which was yet another reason why this is such a big faith move. I'm very tired, and I'm also a little bit on edge because where I was going to that parking lot, when I was setting up in there, I heard one of the employees who was leaving. I'm like, also, first off, why are you here so late? But as he was leaving and walked past my car, I heard him say, "What the hell?" And I looked up to see, like, was he reacting to me? And he was. And I saw him take out his phone and start dialing a number and put it up to his ear. So I assumed he was probably calling, like, the police or something. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to be in that lot. I don't know. I sat there for a while longer, just to see how it would play out, because I was going to... Because sometimes people, because I'm not new to this, sometimes when the police do show up, they're not going to they're like, okay, but be gone in the morning. Like, go ahead and rest. Just be gone in the morning. Once they talk with you and see that you're not, like, in your car doing something you don't have no business, you just, like, need a place to sleep, they'll usually be like, okay, like, don't worry about it. So I was expecting that to happen, but the police never showed. But I just could not settle. I was just so on edge and paranoid, so I decided to leave. Because I also realized my phone won't charge and my laptop is dead, and I need both. I really, really need both tomorrow. So I looked up places I could drive that were close by. Panera has has outlets, so I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. Central Time, and because that's when Panera Bread opens, and I'm gonna go in there, set up camp, let my phone and laptop charge through to 9 a.m. No, 8 a.m. Central Time, because it will be 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and I have a meeting at 9 a.m. And my plan is to be on the phone call, the 9 a.m. phone call, as I drive to the event. And once I get to the event, I will park up, and by that time, it'll be 7 a.m. Wait, what? I'm figuring it out. I'm tired. My phone needs to save a little bit of battery it has, so I'm going to try and go to sleep. I'm noticing myself feel a little different. Not losing faith. Not wavering at all. I'm still so grateful for the experience I did have. As I was sharing, like, that first hour coming down. But there is that teeny little bit of feeling of, Diamond, what are you doing? Because, I don't know, I'm a little more on edge this time. Maybe, I don't know, it's because I have curtains up, because in the past I've never put anything up. I just, like, pull whatever I'm wearing over my head. And so I feel like because I'm more discreet and more private, people are going to pay me more attention. And that's what it is. I'm also in a city that I have never been in before, so I don't know how they are. Because in Maryland, cops don't give a damn. They don't give a darn. DC, they didn't really care. Virginia, they did not care at all. As long as you were on private property. So, alright, goodbye. Till the morning.
one of the founders of the Dating Project.
Yeah.
Yes, and this beautiful, awesome,
Come on now.
wonderful,
You better say it. You better say it.
luscious woman right here.
Woo! Won't he do it?
My name is Whitney Moss, and this is my man, my man, my man. And on the subject, we're actually 2 years married in October.
2 years in the game.
2 years in the game. That's right. And so I want to do a temperature check. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right.
You guys are amazing. I want to let you exit the stage. This is amazing.
I got to meet Miss Terry Ijeoma, and when I tell you, it was such a blessing, such a miracle, let alone the blessing that she gave me, but just to get to shake her hand. So I actually stayed in line for quite some time as she was signing books and doing her meet and greet, and just waited until she was available. And I actually did like a little side interview. One of her cameraman saw that I was kind of just hanging off to the side and not getting in line to get a book because I already had it. And he said, hey, can you just do a quick interview about like why you got the book? And so I went ahead, did the like quick interview, and one of the questions he asked me was, what is a risk that you're taking right now? And I shared that right now, like, even coming out here was a risk for me, and I chose to step out on faith instead of staying afraid and staying uncertain. And then we ended the interview. Well, when Miss Terry finished up and she came over, she kind of asked me the same question. She was like, first thing I told her was like, hey, I just wanted to stay in line just to get the opportunity to shake your hand. If you don't know her story, please look her up, because her story is so inspiring, and I feel like a lot of us can relate to it. So I just told her that how much I related to her story, how much it inspired me to take the step to leave my secure, benefits included 9-to-5 job, which was more like a 9 to 8, and really just pursue this dream, this vision that God kept giving me and kept whispering to me. And how I was just so grateful for her act of obedience and walking out on faith, because it's inspired my act of obedience and walking out on faith. So I share all this, and she asked me the same question as the cameraman. Well, what risk are you taking right now? And I said that I kind of gave like an overview. It's like, well, my risk right now is just walking out on faith, and even coming here. That's like what I was telling your cameraman too. So that's already, you guys got that on camera. You're good. And she goes, but like, tell me more. And I wasn't expecting her to ask more questions. I wasn't expecting her to ask these like follow-up questions. So she asked me like, okay, what was the risk? And I was like, well, coming here to this event was a risk. Well, why was it a risk? I was like, well, I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision. I wasn't sure if I was hearing God right, or if I was allowing fear to win, or if I was allowing faith to win. Like, I was just so confused. And she's like, well, why were you so confused? And I told her, like, it literally didn't make any logical sense for me to come here, because I didn't have it financially. Like I said, I literally came down here and said, I felt like God was telling me that I needed to be in the room and that I needed to be in Chicago. So I decided to step out on faith with only $37 to my name at the time, and come down here. It didn't feel like a wise financial decision. It didn't feel like good financial planning. It did not make logical sense. It didn't make any logical sense. But something kept telling me I needed to be in the room. Something kept telling me I needed to be there, be here. And so that's why I'm here. And she listens to my story and she's like, open your Cash App. I said no. Yes, I said no. Anybody else, I'm sure you guys are like, what the heck is wrong with you? First, some people are probably telling me I was disrespectful for telling her no. Some people probably told me I'm being prideful, which I was. I didn't realize it at the time. But I was like, no. And she's like, open your Cash App. I said, I can't. I said, you've already done so much. I said, you can, I tried to negotiate with her to not give me a Cash App. I was like, you can pray. That's what it was. I said, if anything, I would appreciate if you just prayed for me right now. She said, I'm gonna do that too, but open your Cash App. And I was like, Miss Terry, please, like, I can't. And I started crying because emotional girl. And I just start crying. And she pulls me away off to the side in private. And she starts speaking to me. She said, are you going to block my blessing? And I used to tell people that when I was working in the shelters, when I was working with other people and they would say, no, no, no. I said, are you going to block my blessing right now? Like, are you going to block my blessing? Because God told me to do this. And if you do not allow me to do it, then I'm not able to act in that obedience. And so she tells me basically that same thing, like really just hitting words right back at me. And she goes, you're about to block my blessing. And it's because you're allowing pride to get in the way. And I started crying even more, y'all. And I was like, well, Miss Terry, I don't think it's pride. Because I really do be thinking that I'm not that prideful of a person. But apparently I am, y'all. Lord's still working on me. And I said, I just don't. Like, I know God said that he was going to make a way, but I don't want it to be like this. And somebody I know in the comments is screaming, pride. Go ahead and type it in the comments, pride. But I was just like, I don't want it to happen like this. Like, why couldn't he just let $1,000 just enter my account? Because God has done things like that in my life before, when I was working full-time and going to grad school full-time and commuting 4 hours a day, 2 to work, 2 back, and work. Like, it was crazy. So I knew God can do it. Why would he make it be through somebody who I look up to and I want to make a good impression with, because I would love the opportunity to work with her one day and to collaborate with her one day and to just not just be a colleague, but be a friend and like just know her, like more than just like the image of her, but like actually know her as like someone I can look up to, someone I can text and be like, hey girl, this happened. Why would he do it this way? I kept saying like, God, why would you do it this way? And she just kept saying like, you're allowing pride to get in the way of a blessing. I know you had your plans of how you want it to happen. I know you had your plans of how you wanted God to do it. But what if this is how God wants to do it? And I'm just crying. She says, so are you going to block my blessing? And that's how you going to do me? And I just started crying. I was like, okay. And so I opened my Cash App, and y'all, she blessed me. She blessed me. And I'm going to expose how even I was about to allow scarcity mindset. They are so loud cutting grass right now. I'm going to expose how even I almost allowed scarcity mindset to block not just the blessing, but almost cost me a very pivotal moment. Because she cashed at me a blessing and I didn't want to use it. I left it in the Cash App because I was like, I don't want to use it. I'm going to save it. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to save this and I'm going to reinvest it back into her business. I'm going to buy some books, buy a ticket, do something to like give it back to her and bless her. And the next day I see her, because she came back to the event the second and third day, and I said hello and thanked her again and gave her a hug and all that. And I said, I really appreciate the money. I'm going to use it wisely, thinking that I'm being noble. I'm like, and being smart and impressive. I'm like, I'm going to use it wisely. I'm going to invest it back into your business, but I'm also going to invest it in trading because when we met the day before, I had told her that like all the like things that I've been working on. So I was like explaining to her everything that that I'm doing, like my business, because she asked like, okay, so what is your kind of like area right now? And I was like, I do life coaching, have my doctorate in clinical psychology, specializing with working with people who have trauma. I'm also a trader, learning Forex trading, and I mentor a group of Forex traders. Well, some of them trade futures, but mentor a group. Well, I do life coaching group calls for them. And so I just like told her all this, and she was like, yeah, that's such a blessing, that's so good. And she's like, but I gave you the money to use. Like, if you need it to use, like, you cannot be sleeping in your car. You need to use this money. Like, allow it to be a blessing. Don't worry about how you're going to give it back in the future. Don't worry about how you're going to pour back into me. That will come in time. Don't worry about trying to invest it. Use it for what you need it to be right now. So y'all, I went ahead and got a hotel because sleeping in the car has been a little bit uneasy and kind of like nerve-wracking, more than I thought it would be. I think it's also because I'm not new to that. I've slept in my car plenty of times, but I think being in a unfamiliar and different city made it a little bit more unsettling. And then, not to mention, y'all, the pastor going to say in one of the services, this church may look nice, but y'all in South Chicago, you better know, okay? It ain't safe out here, so be safe, okay? So I say all this to say, I'm rambling, but I say all this to say, like, it was a blessing to meet her. She blessed me and also helped me realize that I was allowing pride to interfere with what God was trying to do in my life. And on top of that, the extra blessing, the salt bay that Jesus did for me, is that I was able to make an amazing connection with her. So she gave me a hug, y'all, and she said, let's take a picture, and I want to exchange numbers so we can stay in contact, and I want to know updates. I want to know about like how you're growing. And it was her real number, y'all, which that meant so much to me. And I don't think people with influence often realize how much that can matter and how much that can inspire, encourage, uplift, and reassure someone that they're on the right path. Because as much as we like to say, oh, it doesn't matter what people think, it really does impact us when someone does believe in us, when someone does see something in you. And so just be a light to other people. Check that pride, y'all. Don't stay humble. But also be open to see how God wants to work miracles in your life. You never know who he's going to use, how he's going to do it, where he's going to do it. Just be open to receiving that, okay? Until next time, see y'all. Now, y'all, I still had to be frugal because I just did not want to waste money. I really wanted to steward this blessing appropriately and responsibly. So I found the cheapest hotel that I could find that didn't look like it would be infested with bed bugs or that I'd get murdered at. However, it was still pretty sketch. Y'all, when I pulled up, there were people fighting in the lobby, fighting in the parking lot, cursing each other out. I said, oh my gracious, Jesus be a fence. And he was a fence. Now, as you can see in this picture, because I did not like the environment and did not trust it, I decided to barricade both of the doors. So I barricaded the door that was in the left image. You can kind of see the dresser there in the corner. I pulled it in front of the joining room door.
And then I also ricocheted the chair and the cord to the blow dryer to the door handle, because in my mind, this is how I was thinking. Yes, I got the lock on there, but I've seen tons of videos of people showing that they can break past those locks. So what I was thinking, like, okay, I have the blow dryer slightly on the edge of the chair so that if they were trying to open and then, oh snap, they see that the door is ricocheted and they try to open it slowly. What they don't know is, bam, as they open the door more, the blow dryer is going to fall and hit the door, waking me up and giving me time to grab my weapons, which I will not disclose what, but I was prepared. All right. I was traveling across the country, guys. You have to be, well, not across the country, but I still had to watch out for me and just be smart. So, yes, I had my little switch on me and mace and bear mace, and I was definitely ready to use anything else in that room that I needed. So, y'all tell me, did I do a good job at securing the room, or was this a pitiful attempt? Needless to say, I did have a place to sleep those next 2 nights, and I was very grateful.
To run ahead make some noise. 80s, baby, where you at? 70s, where you at? 60s, where you at? 50s? That flex gets that fast. Faster, watch out, watch out. Come on, now what? Hold your head. Put a smile. Oh, man. Let me see how many people are smiling here. Get ready. Get ready. For your what? Come on. Get ready. For your miracle. Come on. I see you got that rough. I see you.
High cholesterol and obesity at epidemic levels. We have shifted into a season of access. We have the Uber Eats, the Sunday brunch, and the let's just meet up to eat up. But here's the beautiful thing. We also have opportunities for breakthrough. I understand that our genes may load the gun, but it's our lifestyles that pull the trigger. And if you want to put your precondition, as I had, and your condition in remission, then we've got to put our eating in submission.
An assignment, do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the best in the world, but just do it and keep doing it. That's the only way to get past what's the opposite of visibility? Like non-visibility, right? Invisibility. Invisibility. I got you. Can I say something to that? Yeah, of course. No, go, please, go ahead. The only way to get past invisibility is to see you going forth. Go ahead, though.
No, See, everything he's saying, the reason why he needs to be up here is because he really working this, and some of us, like, we all have different paths. And I think in this, you need to hear where you fit in this conversation. A lot of y'all can leave like really knowing who you are at the end of this weekend, if your heart is really open to it. So you start where you fit. But you said, you know, not only does the algorithm know that you ain't posting, because you chewing me up over here, and you can shut up. Not only does the algorithm know that, he said God knows that. I immediately heard the devil know that.
Oh, talk about it.
And as he's talking and describing the algorithm, he's describing the devil. Because the devil studies you. He know what make you sad, he know what make you happy, he know what make you angry, he know what make you hungry, he knows what makes you what you are. And one thing that I feel like a lot of us struggling with right now is that we take seasons of silence as like a sentence. Like it's gonna stay like this. And the reason why I had to deal with a lot of hell when God blew up my platform is because I made decisions in a season I thought was never gonna end. That affected me when God came through for me. I wanna say this in a different way, because some of y'all don't hear what I'm saying. There's a time of darkness you go through that's so bad, the devil convinces you this is life now.
Wow.
And a lot of us have gotten a pillow, got a bed, got some covers. We have made our bed in hell. And God is there with you in hell, but he's trying to figure out when you want to get out, because all of us are in a prison with the door open.
Amen.
The prison has gotten comfortable. And so the devil can convince you that this is forever. You'll start making decisions based on the season you're in, not based on where you're getting ready to go. If you have a prophetic revelation that in December God's going to make all of this make sense.
That comes with that. And doubt is like one of the #1 combaters for faith. You have to have faith. It's gonna cost you yourself. I've died so many deaths, you guys, like to myself. And so it will really cost you your life sometimes, but that's what we're called to do, is to give up our life, lose our life, so that we can earn it and gain it. And so that's what it costs a lot, honestly.
Can you repeat the question?
What's the emotional or personal cost of feeling unseen online?
When you don't know who you're already seen by, you do any and everything to try to be seen. That's a good one right there.
Repeat that.
When you don't know who you're already seen by, you try to do any and everything to be seen. You try to fit in what we were just talking about, the algorithm. And even when it doesn't come to social media, you try to fit in other people's lives. You try to adjust. You try to please other people because you don't know that you're already seen. So now it's costing you who you are.
Approach me in this manner that continues to think that I'm going to settle for that or be open to that. And if I don't sit with my soul, because we talk a lot in church about flesh and spirit, and we don't talk about soul. But a man is 3 parts: body, soul, and spirit. And what happens to your life happens to your soul. And the soul is the part of you that makes decisions. The soul is your will, your emotions. So all of that, everything that you've gone through has gone through your soul. And if you don't have a real, that's why they call it soul ties. If you don't have a real sit down with your soul and heal in your soul, then you can't even attract what it is that your spirit desires, because your soul keeps filtering through your flesh what it is that you really want. And so it's not spirit, soul, body. It's body, soul, spirit. And so your flesh keeps being in front of you, what your spirit desire is, and your soul is filtering those decisions. That's why you keep on attracting what you think is different from what you want. So sit with your soul and let your soul heal. He restores my soul. Let your soul heal properly so that you can be in a healthy space, so you can give the love that you desire properly. So then the love that you desire can be the same love that you're attracted to.
And then be comfortable if your phone is dry. Because you gotta get comfortable. Because if you ain't getting nobody when you go into the gas station talking about, hey, little mama, you sure is fine. That stops. Don't feel like something's wrong with you where you gotta go get surgery and go get a BBL and start trying to get stuff to try to be more attractive. You gotta be okay with the people not giving you unhealthy attention. Because that's the key. You just start saying, oh, I gotta do something. If I get too old now, then I'm not attracting anybody. So don't start devaluing yourself. Did y'all enjoy this, y'all? Yeah.
And then we go into that next level of confidence. And you all need confidence in all parts of your life, but confidence definitely shows up when you start looking at your mentors. And in investing, confidence shows up when you figure out how to read charts. So all of this is what you learn in the book. And I want you to just know, like, when we start multiplying, we're going to be able to impact the world in a whole new way. The people who funded Jesus' ministry were women, and they were funding the ministry. So when we start building our wealth, we can fund the ministry, and we can fund God's word to go farther and make sure that our ministers and our people are able to operate in their calling without worry, right? So that's what we do. And I hope you guys get the book, The Risk Worth Taking. I'm the author, Terry Gioma. And congratulations to all the nominees. I was awarded the Icon Award 2 years ago here, so congratulations to all the nominees and winners. I'm Terry Gioma.
We've been encouraged and blessed to have this amazing opportunity through the birth, through the calling of the disciples, through the Sermon on the Mount, through the feeding of the 5,000, the washing of the feet. Now I see what y'all mean. You're trying to catch up with this thing. I got you. Through the breaking of the bread, the betrayal, the arresting in the garden, and all of it has been leading to right now, to season 6. The part of the whole story was always moving towards the cross. The 6 episodes this November on Amazon Prime and the full-length film in theaters around the world. In spring of 2027, we're going to see just how selfless, how sacrificial, how unmatched the love of Jesus really is. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Y'all ready to dance with us? Let's go. Say we've been there. On your mark, get set,
Jackie, you gotta put another barrel in. You gotta sub another barrel in, Jackie. Right here, Jackie. I'm at the great team spot. Y'all clap for him. Keep clapping for me as I walk. Appreciate y'all. It would be no them without me. Clap for me. He actually is the lamest brother.
God, I ain't trying to go nowhere near this. I said, no, we just came to the agreement that we can do that.
Can y'all boo him? So, you go. I'm you the big fish. Big fish. I'm Jonah. 7 o'clock.
Another story. Another story.
Yeah, what the fish gonna say?
Another story.
Hey, Lord, you sure this is where you want me to be? What is it?
Go sit down.
I ain't read that story for real. I went to Colorado for water, and I ain't got to the.
Oh my God.
Who's on? It's on me? C. Who am I? Joe.
Another story.
New story? New story. Thank you. Grace. Thank you. That's Grace. This ain't y'all show. You said, what's the story? What's the story? Joseph and Mary? Joseph and Potiphar's wife? David and the lion. All right. Okay, babe. All right. Forget what you heard. You will be defeated. Goliath is beaten by no one. How you know? I just know. We Old Testament. I was going to say Jesus. What level, y'all? Jay. Jokes ain't that funny when it's real.
I can't hear you.
Cool. No. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm saying we in Chicago. You can use cash. Oh my God. We gotta move on because obviously we don't read our Bibles.
Clearly.
Y'all make some noise for our friends, man. You stupid. I'm saying it's cool. Like you can. Alright, man. Obviously we don't know the Old Testament like we thought we did.
But it's been 6 years, 6 months, 27 days, 49 minutes, and about 30 seconds since I missed out on that PPP loan scam. And I'm torn up about it still, my Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Because I feel like I missed my window.
Hello.
To make some real money, some real ducats.
Okay. You're playing right.
A coward I was.
Yep.
I just knew that everybody that participated would have at least be thrown under the jail by now. But no! These folks out here civilization.
Not civilization.
Just like me, I know you know. You mean to tell me I could have got in with them folks? You mean to tell me I could have had some? And you just expect me just to keep it P and not tell you want me to keep it P. Well, P for me stands for panhandling in a minute. Cause I need some money. I do, Lord. I do. And I'm not, you know my heart, Lord, I'm not broke. Not yet. Father, I'm broke. I'm B-R-O-K, not quite on E just yet. But I'm on the brink of broke, Lord. I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp. I'm falling off the bone, Lord. I'm falling off the bone. And I've been hearing this thing about God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldier. My Lord, you've mistaken me for Thor, my Lord. I promise I'm not an Avenger, Lord. I promise it's just me, Lord. It's just Philip. I got my ID. I'm not equipped for any more battles, Lord. I can't even keep up with my license. This is my passport, Lord. If I lose this, I'm completely lost. I have nothing, Lord. And I just feel like this whole adulting thing is a scam.
So as we are closing out the night, this was our last night all together because many of us were going to leave in the morning. That Sunday, they did have a church service that they were doing at a couple different locations, and you just attended which one you wanted. However, I knew that I needed to hit the road as early as possible. So my plan was, I had checked out of the hotel earlier that day before the comedy show, and my plan was to sleep in my car that last night and then go ahead and head back to Baltimore as early as possible so that I could, because I had to be back in Maryland on Monday. So I go ahead and like say our goodbyes. We all agree to stay in contact. Amazing people. We networked, connected, made sure we all exchanged everyone's like social media and phone numbers, and made like some light plans to connect before BCI next year. So as we're leaving, one of my newfound friends there, Samaya, she asked me what was my plans, because she knew that I had checked out of the hotel that morning because we carpooled to the basketball game and to the comedy show. So she's like, hold up, wait, you checked out the hotel and you said you're not leaving until the morning. What's going on? I was like, planning to stay in the hotel. She's planning to stay in my car. She's like, absolutely not. I'm like, girl, I already did it when I first came down. I'm totally fine. One more night ain't gonna kill me. I'll be fine. And she's like, no. And just being that, like, such a godly covering, like another angel God sent me. She's like, girl, I need a ride and you need somewhere to sleep. Just stay at my place. We both leaving early in the morning because she had a flight that was really early, and she knew I was planning to start driving back to Maryland really early, because my plan was to turn that 10-hour drive into a good 7 or 8. So of course, driving safely. I'm not encouraging anyone to be speeding. Don't say Dr. Diamond encouraged you to speed on the roads. No. But I knew I needed to be back in Maryland. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we go ahead and we're heading back to her hotel where she was staying. It was only like 10-ish minutes away. I think maybe 12. But I specifically remember there was 6 minutes left before we got to the hotel when we got into a car accident. And it was truly crazy how it even happened. Like that whole moment, like minutes, seconds before the accident and then right after. Because as we're sitting at this red light, we are literally 6 minutes from her hotel. And I look over to her, and she's sitting in the passenger side as we're talking about how grateful we are that we made a decision to just go back to the hotel and chill. So a detail I left out is, as we were all mingling at the end, some people wanted to go to this lounge, and when we were looking at some of the pictures of the lounge and the type of like vibe it wasn't really something that her and I felt like we wanted to expose our minds or even like our spirits to. We were just talking about how this was like a very wholesome and amazing experience, and we just didn't even want to risk being in an environment that had any type of foolishness going on that wasn't glorifying God, right? To put it frank. And it wasn't that we were feeling like, oh, we were better than anybody or being holier than thou. We really just felt very good and healthy in our spirits. Like we felt very full, like spiritually. And so we didn't want to, it's like when you have a really good like soul food dinner and then someone is like, you want some Burger King? You're like, I don't want that cheap nasty stuff. I just had this beautiful baked glazed sesame salmon with some jerk chicken and some yams, and I had some greens and some macaroni and cheese and a side salad. All that goodness. You don't want the filth, you don't want the fluff, you don't want the counterfeits after such a wholesome experience. So we were talking about how while we're sitting at this red light, how we were just happy that we were making the decision to go home. And in the night she was gonna share with me her devotional, and I was gonna share with her mine before we go to bed, and just call it a night and go to sleep. We had to be up early. We were initially gonna try to get food, but everything that we were looking at was closed, so we were like, we don't need to be eating this late anyway. So we're just talking about like how important it is not to be double-minded. And that was literally the last thing I remember saying before the car accident happened. Like, I literally am looking at her and I'm like, yeah, it's like really important for us to not be double-minded, as I'm turning my attention back to the red light that has now turned green. And as I was listening to her and talking with her while we were sitting at this light, yes, it was a long red light. Across at this intersection, we were at an intersection, I noticed that there was a police car sitting there. And I noticed them because I have family in the police department, so I always notice police wherever they are. And so I'm checking that, keeping that in my mind. So what we gonna do is go very carefully. We're not gonna take off when it hit green. This ain't Fast and Furious. So I even purposely hesitated when the light turned green. And as me and the two lanes on the outsides of me, I'm in the middle lane and it was two lanes on the outside of me. As we start going, we're going through the green light. The first thing I hear is Samaya say, "Oh, look out." And the next thing I hear is a car screeching. And I look over at the oncoming left lane, left side, and there is a car swerving between, like, around another car, trying to turn across this intersection in front of us to make what would have been for them left turn. And as they are trying to make this left turn, even though they had the red light, they were going so fast and I couldn't stop fast enough. I wasn't even going fast, but because of the momentum and the speed, we ended up colliding. And they smashed right into the front of my car. As soon as they hit my car, this like explosion of fluid burst, like shot up in the air, on the like front passenger side, which I later learned was my washer fluid. And you just see liquid all over the car, all over the ground. And they almost like just barely hit the car that was on the right side of me also going. But thankfully they stopped in time so that they didn't hit them. They swerve and they pull over. Police officers turn their lights on. Other cars are swerving around us, like trying not to hit, because my car is like, peace out, figure this out on your own, I'm not with it. And a police officer comes over and they are so kind, they're so helpful, they were so respectful, so just understanding. They're telling me to calm down. I'm shaking so bad and I'm freaking out because I'm like, this was my biggest fear, is that this was going to happen. And I talk more about that in a separate video that I had posted, but I am just like freaking out. I can't stop shaking. And I can't even remember anything. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering like, in the moment, like, they're asking me this information, that information, and I'm so frazzled I can't remember basic stuff. Like, they were asking me what was my birthday, and I'm like, July 18th. Like, it was crazy. Thankfully, they happened to already be recording. Their dash cam was already recording. They caught it all on camera, and the person admitted that it was their fault. They said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was in a rush. I thought that I could make the light," which is frustrating, but I was just grateful that the police saw that and that it was caught on recording. Because otherwise it just could have went differently. So long story short, that car accident was crazy and it caused a lot of problems, as I shared in the previous video. If you did not see the video I uploaded 2 weeks ago, I uploaded a video about like my testimony from BCI Conference to car crash. It's literally the last video I uploaded before this. And that entire video is just about a live in the moment, transparent and very vulnerable picture of how I was feeling, what I was thinking in the moment. It was that following morning. So after the car accident, the police had to escort us back to our hotel. It was a whole issue trying to get it towed because Chicago does things weird. I'm like, I promise I will never drive down here ever again. But long story short, we get it to the hotel. So grateful to the hotel because they didn't want me to get told by having it on the street because I wasn't going to be able to stay there. I needed to be in Maryland by Monday. So we stay the night. She lets me stay the night. And I remember Samaya just praying over me. She immediately went into prayers. Like, that's the next thing I remember is as we, like, literally as the car finished after the collision, she immediately started praying. Lord, cover Diamond, strengthen her, reassure her, give her peace, be with us in this. Like, she immediately went into prayer because she also knew how serious the situation was beyond just beyond materials. Like, she knew. I had been a little bit more open with her about what else this car crash meant for my family and the things it was connected to beyond just, it wasn't just a car, it was other things connected to it. But as I said, I shall talk about that in the previous video. So they escorted us back because my car was making so many noises and screeching, barely chugging along. We get it back to the hotel. The hotel lets me park it in their garage while we awaited someone to come look at it the next day once we just sorted things out once I got, back home. And I ended up catching a flight back to Maryland. So it was a crazy experience. And in the moment, I was really going through it, which is why I decided to record that video that I mentioned. I was really going through it. And now, a month later, I'm able to look back, and even honestly, it was like a week, 2 weeks, a week after, I was able to be back on like, no, everything happens for a reason. The enemy definitely wanted to end me on a bad note because, like, as I shared at the beginning of this video, I kept questioning if I was making a right decision and I was unsure. And then literally, as we're sitting in the car talking about not being double-minded and being grateful for this experience and me feeling very reassured of like, yeah, God did want me here and I see why, because all of these amazing things, amazing things happened. So much that I learned. So much that I learned, and so many amazing people that I got to connect with that I want to do like collaborations with to just like have a bigger impact. Like, I really want to impact the world, like, so badly. I want to just help people. I don't want the devil to get no glory off of no one's suffering. Like, I want to be that vessel God uses to be like, yeah, you see them? Go ahead and pray them on up out of that. Yeah, you see this person? I've blessed you with the resources to change their trajectory or their situation or alleviate someone's burdens, like whatever it is. And so getting to start making some of those connections that will help me be able to do that and partnering with people who are like-minded in that way was phenomenal and awesome. So it was a really great experience. It was such an exciting time. And I am so glad that I went. It was phenomenal. Well, I hope that this message blesses you. I hope it encourages you. And I hope that it reminds you to always pursue, take the risk. Hashtag Terry's book, The Risk Worth Taking. And I just really hope that you gather, if there's one thing I hope you get from this video, from this vlog, is sometimes the risk really is worth taking. Whatever happens, don't let it discourage you when you are in your journey. If you believe you are walking on faith and being obedient to what God has told you, trust it. Move on it. Don't doubt it. There may be some hurdles. There may be some pushback. Do not allow that to cause your faith to waver. And definitely just take advantage of every single opportunity you get and embrace it wholeheartedly. If you're going to show up, you might as well show out. That's what I would say. If you're going to show up, show out. And I'm so glad that I showed up and I definitely showed out, baby. That was awesome. And I hope that this inspires you, encourages you, uplifts you. And also, If you check out the links in the description, I have my free ebook, my free gift to you guys. It is 1,000 ways to self-care, and it talks about self-care on a mental level, a professional level, a spiritual level. It gives you different strategies if you don't have a lot of time to self-care, if you just only have 5 minutes, things you can do within 5 minutes or a minute or an hour or a day. It talks about the different types of self-care and what they mean for you and how you can engage in those. And it's just a resource for anyone who's really needing to improve how they're taking care of themselves so that they can better show up as the person that God called them to be. So I hope that this blesses you. And if you are interested in doing life coaching with me, if you need someone who is faith focused and can hold you accountable, encourage you, motivate you, and walk alongside of you in your journey of becoming or rewriting your story and your narrative based off of from whatever trauma or struggles you face, go ahead and check out that second link in my description, which is an application to my coaching services. And, remember, faith helps. Love you.